Most people walk around every single day believing they understand how things work, and their brain is actively lying to them about it the entire time. You know when you're in a conversation and someone brings up a topic, could be anything, economics, how a car engine works, why the sky is blue, and in your head you're like, yeah, I know how that works. You feel it. There's this warm, comfortable sense of, got it, no confusion, no gap. You just know. But then someone says, okay, cool, explain it. And suddenly your mouth opens, and what comes out is just nothing useful. You start a sentence, trail off, wave your hand around like that's going to fill in the missing pieces. And you get this sinking feeling like, wait, did I ever actually understand this? Because 30 seconds ago, you would have bet money that you did. There's a specific reason that keeps happening, and it completely changes the way you think about what it means to get something. Here's where it gets weird. There's this thing researchers call the illusion of explanatory depth. And despite the fancy name, the idea is dead simple. Your brain confuses familiarity with understanding. If you've been around an idea enough, heard people talk about it, seen it referenced, maybe read a headline or two, your brain checks a box. It goes, yep, we know that one. But it's not actually checking whether you can explain the mechanics. It's just recognizing the shape of the idea. It's like looking at the cover of a book and feeling like you've read it. You haven't. You just know what it looks like on the shelf. And here's a tiny example that makes this click. Think about a zipper. You've used a zipper probably tens of thousands of times in your life. If I asked you right now, do you understand how a zipper works? You'd probably say yes. But now actually try to explain the mechanism. How do the teeth interlock? What does the slider actually do internally? Most people hit a wall almost immediately. Not because they're dumb, but because their brain was bluffing the whole time. And that's just the surface. Because the real problem actually shows up somewhere you wouldn't expect. This illusion doesn't just make you feel like you understand zippers or engines or random trivia. It quietly shapes your opinions, your actual beliefs about serious things, because here's how it works at a deeper level. When your brain gives you that false green light of understanding, it also gives you confidence. And confidence is what makes you form strong opinions. So now you've got people walking around with rock-solid takes on complex topics. Politics, health, technology, relationships, and they genuinely feel informed. They're not pretending. They're not being arrogant on purpose. Their brain literally told them they get it. The illusion isn't just about knowledge. It's about certainty. And certainty is where it gets dangerous. Because the moment you feel certain about something, you stop being curious about it. You stop asking questions. You stop looking for what you might be missing. Your mind kind of closes the file, marks it as done, and you move on carrying a belief that was never actually built on real understanding. It was built on vibes, on pattern recognition, on the feeling of knowing. I remember being in a conversation about how inflation actually works, and I was nodding along, throwing in comments, feeling pretty sharp about it, honestly. And then someone asked me one specific question about the relationship between interest rates and money supply, and I just stalled. Completely. And the wild part wasn't that I didn't know. It was that I genuinely believed I did, right up until the moment I had to prove it. Quick side note, bro. If you like ideas like this that mess with how you think, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every week. Okay, back to this, because it gets better. And this is where the whole thing flips. You'd assume the solution is just learn more, right? Read more books, watch more videos, consume more information. But that actually makes the illusion worse. And I know that sounds backwards, so stay with me. The more information you're exposed to, the more familiar shapes your brain collects. More headlines, more summaries, more conversations where you nodded along. Each one of those moments adds another layer to the feeling of understanding without adding actual depth. It's like stacking empty boxes. From the outside, it looks like you've got a lot, but there's nothing in any of them. The people who actually understand things deeply aren't the ones who consumed the most content. They're the ones who at some point tried to explain something and realized they couldn't. That moment of failure, that awkward ego-bruising moment where you go, oh wow, I actually don't get this. That's the real starting point. Because your brain can't fix a gap it doesn't know exists, and the illusion's entire job is to hide the gap from you. So the most dangerous version of not knowing something isn't when you know you don't know. That's fine, that's just ignorance, and you can work with that. The most dangerous version is when you don't know that you don't know. When the gap is invisible. When you pass a vibe check on the topic but fail an actual exam. Think about how many opinions you hold right now that have never once been tested by trying to explain them from scratch, out loud. Not reciting what you've heard someone else say, actually building the explanation yourself, from the ground up. That number is probably way higher than feels comfortable. So here's what sits with me about all of this. It's not that people are lazy or careless about learning. Most people genuinely want to understand the world. The problem is that the feeling of understanding is so convincing, so seamless, that there's almost no internal signal telling you it's fake. Your brain doesn't flag it. There's no little notification that pops up saying, hey, this confidence is based on absolutely nothing. It just feels like knowing, smooth and easy and sure. And real understanding, the kind where you can actually trace an idea from start to finish and explain why each piece connects, that feels different. It feels rougher, harder. It has edges and gaps and moments of, wait, actually I'm not sure about this part. Which means the cruel twist is that the people who feel the most confused are often closer to real understanding than the people who feel the most certain. Certainty is comfortable, but comfort, when it comes to your own mind, might just be the most convincing lie your brain ever tells you.